300 now and a quarter, will you give me 3 1/4? 3 1/4, go crazy, 3 1/4, 3 1/4, 3 1/4, 3 1/4, will you give me 3 1/4? 3 1/4, will you give me 3 1/4, now I have 3 1/4, now I have a half, now 75. 375, 75, 75, will you give me 375? Jake, you watching them. 375, 75, will you give me 375? 75, 375, will you give me 375? 350 is the bid amount, now 75. 75, 75, 75, 75. How about 360? Yeah. 360, now 75. 360, now 75. Here at 360. 360, now 75. 375, 375, now 85. 85, 385, 85, 385, 385. 385, now 95. 395, 395, anybody at 395? 395, now 410. 410, 410, 410, will you give me 410? 410, will you give me 410? 410, 410, will you give me 410? 410, 410, will you give me 420? 420, 420, will you give me 420? 20, 20, 20, will you give me 420? 410, now 20, 20, will you give me 420? 20, will you give me 420? 420, will you give me 420? Thank you, now 430. 430, 430, now 40. 440, will you give me 440? 440, will you give me 440 on the back? 440. 440, 440, now 50. 440 up here now, 50, 50, will you give me 450? 50, 50, will you give me 450? 450, 450. I got $500, thank you, thank you. 500, way to go, now a quarter. 500 now, 5 1/4, will you give me 5 1/4? I got 500 now and a quarter. 5 1/4, will you give me 5 1/4? Will you give me 5 1/4? 500 now a quarter. 500 now a quarter. 5 1/4, will you give me 5 1/4? 5 1/4, anybody give me 5 1/4? 5 1/4? 5 1/4? 500 now, 510. Anybody give me 510? Not too late. 510, 510. Anyone give me 510? 510, 510. Last time, 510. Anybody give me 510? Sold $500, the bidder number. What's the number? 707-500. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for all the bidders on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item coming up, over here to my left, your right, you'll see some samples of our work. This is a pet portrait, and they're over on the table. And what this lovely artist...
100, 100, 100, will you give me $100 and stay in the man's jersey? 100, thank you, now and a quarter. 1 1/4 and a half. 1 1/4, now half and a half, will you give me 1 1/2, now 75. 175, 75, 175, 75, now $200 and a quarter. 2 1/4, 2 1/4, Jake, 2 1/4 to you. 200 up here, now 2 1/4, 2 1/4, 2 1/4, will you give me 2 1/4, now a half. 2 1/2, 2 1/2, 2 1/2, 2 1/2, 2 1/2, 75. 2 1/2 up in front, now 75 to you, Jake, 275 to your man. 275, now 300, 300, 300, 300, stand the man. Number 6. 300, now 3 1/4, 3 1/4, 3 1/4, 3 1/4, now and a half, 3 1/2, 3 1/2, 3 1/2, 3 1/2, 3 1/2, 3 1/2, will you give me 3 1/2, 3 1/2, 3 1/2, yes, yes, 3 1/2, 3 1/2, thank you, now 75, 375, 75, $400, thank you very much, now a quarter, 400, now 4 1/4 and a quarter, will you give me 4 1/4, 4 1/4, 4 1/4, 4 1/4, 4 1/4, 4 1/4, thank you and a half, 4 1/2, 4 1/2, 4 1/2, 4 1/2, 4 1/2, will you give me 4 1/2, 4 1/2, now 75, 475, 75, 75, 75, 75, 475, 475, 75, 75, 75, anybody else, 475, 4 1/2 bid, now 75, 75, 75, 75, will you give me 475, 475, we're calling a link here. I got $500, it just went up. Oh my gosh, it's $500, now 5 1/4, 5 1/4 and a quarter, will you give me 5 1/4? Worth every dime of it, 5 1/4, 500, now 5 1/4, 5 1/4, 5 1/4, will you give me 5 1/4? Anybody give me 5 1/4, 5 1/4, 5 1/4, I got 500, now and a quarter, 500, now and a quarter, anybody give me a quarter, 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 anybody give me a quarter? I got 500, now a quarter, 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 yes, 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 5 1/4, yeah, 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 yeah. 520, 520, 520, I like it. 520 now, 530. 530, 530, might as well go 5 1/2. 530, 530, 530, will you go 530? 530, 530. This is calling a link. 530, 530, 530, will you give me 530? 520 now, 30, 30, will you give me 530? 530, 530, yes, yes, yes. 530, yes. Yes, 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 yes. 530. 530, 530, 530. 535, I like it. 535, now 45. 545, 45, 545. This is wonderful. 545. 545, 45. More 45. Now 55. 555, 555. 55, 555, 555, 555, 555, 555. Go, 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 go. 555. We need a boost. 555. Yes, yes. What's your answer? 555 is the bid. Now 555. Yes. 565. 565, 65, 65, 565, 565, 565. 565, 565. Now 575. We got 575, 575. 575. 575, 75 goes $600. 575, 575, 75, 575, 565, 75. 575, 75, 575, 575. Richard, take that rod over there so she gets a very good look at number 6. 575, 575, 75. Will you give me 575? 575, 575. Anyone give me 575? 575, 575. Yes, yes. 575, 575. Here we go. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. No, no. No, no. You're the liaison. 565, now 75. 570, you're still alive. Don't have time. Unless you can do it real quick. 575, 65, don't have time really. 75, 575, 575. It's worth it. 575, 575. One of a kind tonight. 575, 565, 75, 575. Technology's failing us. I know it. 575 sold, 565 the bidder number. 1301, 565 to 1301. Thank you both.